Catherine Goshen, a professional astrologer from the village of Nyack in New York State, and I'm passionate about in-depth astrology and getting to the heart of the matter. In this video, I want to talk about the astrological climate for February and March, and we'll begin where we left off in the last video and continue through the upcoming moon in Aquarius, the new moon, and all the way to the full moon in Virgo. Before we talk about that, a couple of announcements. Firstly, I am so happy to be lecturing at the Empowered Astrology Conference in March. This is an online event organized by Kathy Rose, and I will post the link below. It is open to all, and there are a myriad of excellent lectures there with material that you just cannot find online. So check that out. And I will also be teaching with Stormy Grace. I'm very proud to be associated with her new project of teaching astrology free for a year, beginning in March on YouTube. There are some excellent guests on her program for that, her teaching staff. And I will also put the link below for that if you would like to donate to the Kickstarter project, or if you would like to begin to learn free astrology with Stormy Grace and her team. So many of you have contacted me and told me about the enormous energy that you felt over the last full moon in Leo. And this is true. If you recall, we had that major T-square of energy, which always asks that something is released. So now we have all this energy, we have all these new ideas, and what are we going to do with them? So remember, we are in a period now where things are moving fairly slowly because of the Mercury retrograde. We're being asked to reconsider all those big ideas, all that energy we have to move forward with our lives, to make big changes. We know what needs to be done now, but we need to be cautious of rushing too quickly ahead. The Mercury retrograde period gives us a time to reconsider our options and to lay things out on the table. As we move through this first week of February and into the second week, we are building toward a new moon. So I invite you to be very aware of the day before this new moon, around February the 10th, depending on what part of the world you're in. There will be a Mercury-Mars square, and together with the dark moon, this can feel either like a very listless 24 hours or a period of nervousness, agitation, and you may find yourself tending to get into a dispute with someone. Don't do it. The energy is at a low ebb, and as you become more and more in tune with astrology, you'll begin to realize that the day before a new or full moon is a particularly sensitive time, and one when you should be especially mindful of your emotions. Do not get caught into acting from a place where you are lunar driven. And the new moon in particular, the day before the new moon, there is no light being received from the moon, and things can feel emotionally, if as well as literally, very dark. So be mindful, do some gentle exercises, and know that after the new moon, there will be increasing light and things will become clearer and feel a little bit more uplifting. Then we have the actual new moon on February 11th, and this is a think tank of planets in Aquarius. What does this mean? It means we have no less than 6 of the major planets in the sign of Aquarius, which is the sign of thinking out of the box. Old habits are dying hard now. You know where you need to move forward. Either it's in the area of your relationship, or it's in the way you personally are reacting to things in your own life and you wish to put new patterns in place, new emotional response patterns in place. Or it may be the area of your work. Whatever area of your life you're struggling with most, this new moon is going to help you to see there are original ways of dealing with this problem. Aquarius does not like to go with the flow. It likes to take a stand and do what is best for the group. There is a tendency to rebel at times, but the outcome is usually for the good of all. So you have all these ideas and they seem inspiring and able to move you forward. However, there is a challenge and there is a delay. And this is represented by the square we see from Mars-Uranus to all those Aquarius planets. This tells me that you may be experiencing a delay or a challenge in how you want to implement all the changes in your life. The thing is that you will have more hope at this time. Venus and Jupiter are going to receive the Mercury retrograde just after the new moon. That Mercury is going to be moving back between the 12th and the 14th of February. And it's going to shine light on your concern and bring this sense of either a message you've been waiting to receive or something which had set up in early January and you were very concerned with how to move with this. Some kind of light, some kind of message will be coming in those days after the moon. We know that when Venus and Jupiter get together as they appear in the new moon chart, this always brings a dose of optimism, and we need this at this time. The only caveat is not to become too idealistic. For example, if you're in a relationship and you know that major changes need to be made, there might be a tendency to be too forgiving or to have those rose-tinted spectacles on, because just a couple of days after the new moon on the 13th, we also have the moon hooking up with Neptune. So this says that change is brewing, it's big change, change is important, and you know where that area of change is in your life. However, it's a long process because all throughout February, we are building to that first Saturn-Uranus square, which is the major event of the year, and it will take place in February, June, and December. So this is an energy which is particularly affecting those who are born 1969 to 1970, as well as some of you born in 1983, because you have planets that are directly receiving those influences from Uranus and Saturn right now. Of course, many of us are receiving them in other ways. If we have our moon, our sun, our ascendant, Mercury or Venus, anywhere between about 6 and 9 degrees of a fixed sign, then we will be receiving these very strong influences of the Saturn-Uranus square throughout the year. But no matter what you're doing and what challenges you're facing, it's lawful that you are going through this now. You need to experience this wish to move forward, this wish to break free, and then the structural energy which is saying, look, it's going to take probably a little longer than you think, and you need to take a step back and you need to plan it. 2020 caused so much upheaval for so many people, and we are now in this process of realizing, so what do we actually do with the changes that have been brought about? We know that for most of us, we cannot continue our lives as before. So whether it's at work, whether it's at home, the virus has been so helpful in causing a melting pot to happen in our own lives so that we can really distill what is most important to us and make our choices. This year, 2021, is the year of choices, and the choices that we make now are going to affect very strongly how 2022 plays out for us. The day after the Saturn-Uranus square, February 18th, the Sun will ingress into the sign of Pisces in the tropical zodiac. And this is as if you could picture the Sun is breaking away from that Aquarius stellium, all that air, all that thinking, all those new ideas and innovative ways to get your life back on track. Sun moves into Pisces, setting the trend now for the other planets to follow it. Now we know that Pisces is a soulful sign. It is ruled by Jupiter, and the expansiveness of the emotional response of the Pisces archetype is limitless, to the extent that for those of you who have strong Pisces placements such as rising sign, moon, sun, you feel things so deeply that one almost has to turn away because the emotional sensitivity is very high. Pisces archetypes need a lot of quiet time or alone time because they are processing and sensing things on a very, very fine level. So for all of us, that Sun moving into Pisces, it calls us now to switch from a more idea-orientated for weeks to checking in with our intuition. How do we feel about the changes that we need to bring about? Can we connect with feeling in a way that doesn't paralyze us because it's so intense? But can we use it to galvanize ourselves to do the things that we have to do? And that's always the tricky part, isn't it? So often in our deepest intuition, we know what we must do. We see our future very clearly, but then we let other things get in the way. Considerations, intensity, responsibilities. Whereas when we trust our deepest guides, things usually end up as they should. So a couple of days after the Sun moves into Pisces, Mercury will station direct again. In other words, from Earth's perspective, the planet that rules our mindset and communication will start to slowly move forward again. But don't rush about and think that the Mercury retrograde is over, because it takes all the way halfway through March for this planet to move out of its shadow period. So I advise you, continue in this mode of checking in with these big thoughts you have about your business, your relationship, your life, and don't make any rash plans or decisions until after March 14, when Mercury will exit from the degree that it started to retrograde in. Something else we could consider for February is that on the 25th we have a lovely a movement of Venus into Pisces. Now, what does this mean? Venus is very comfortable in Pisces. She is raised up there. And this is a beautiful time for artists. She'll be there for a few weeks. So from February 25th onwards, artists, I call on you to put yourself out there to share. Venus is the sign of relations, and when Venus is in Pisces, it is a beautiful time to repair any damage that we may have in the past with people, in relationships. Be the one to make the overtures and to set the past behind. So we are now building up to the full moon in Virgo, which will take place on February 27th. The couple of days beforehand, again, be very mindful. We will have an incredibly powerful trine between Mars and Pluto. Around the 24th, it will be exact. I love this aspect because it gives us tremendous energy and drive to work towards our goals. So I invite you to use it wisely. We'll also have a Uranus moon square at this time, which tends to intensify things. So be very clear about directing your energy towards a specific project during those 2 days as we're building to this beautiful lunation. One of my favorite full moons, the full moon in Virgo, which invites us to do two things. Firstly, to watch where we are self-critical, perfectionist, or undervalue ourselves. And secondly, to take a health check and to see where we can introduce new habits which contribute to our overall well-being. The first one, with that Virgo moon full ruled by Mercury, a lot of worry, negativity, self-criticism can come to the fore, wanting things to be perfect and wanting them to be perfect right now. And then this intense frustration that comes with this acknowledgement that one's life is not exactly as one would like it to be. The full moon can highlight this, and we are asked to stand under that influence and to accept whatever is going on in our lives right now as perfect, as part of the divine plan. Then the other side of the Virgo full moon, this beautiful opportunity to check in with how we're doing on the health front. Are we exercising daily? Are we eating well? Is there a small habit that we could change that will in fact revolutionize our life if we do it over time? Something simple like waking up every morning and stretching. If you're over the age of 30, this is something you should consider doing. It can be a pattern that will change your life. So all of that might come up with the Virgo full moon, and in particular the days after the full moon is when these kinds of things are revealed. As March gets underway, we have Mars switching signs. Now Mars is our energy application, how we need to take energy in a way that is best for us. Each of us has a Mars in our chart, and it's in a sign, one of the 12 signs, and that will show us how we best take energy and apply it in the world. Now, we've had Mars in Taurus for a while, which can tend to be stubborn, and there can be some resistance in the energy application. So this is something a person with Mars in Taurus would have to work on. And we've seen the challenges that Mars in Taurus has brought for the world while it was hooking up with Uranus in terms of the protesting that takes place, because Mars can also be an agitator. Now on March the 5th, we'll be having Mars move into Gemini, which is a mental sign, and there will be less resistance. And Mars will be traveling through Gemini for about 5 weeks, and it is going to be trining Saturn for most of March. So what does this mean for us? An easy application of energy. If we wish to take on a disciplined project and to set new habits, we are going to be helped by the planetary energies. So March 5th, I recommend as a day of adjustment. Take it easy. Don't do anything too strenuous. And then from the 6th onwards, all the way until the 20th, we're going to have that beautiful energy from the old wise mentor, Saturn, that calms Mars down and says, I can give you structure if you wish to use it. All of that time we will be building toward the new moon in Pisces. And this is carrying on many of the themes from the full moon in Virgo. Themes of self-love, themes of acceptance, together with this soulful wish for a better world and wondering how on earth we are actually going to go about and create it. These are very real questions that could come up around the new moon, and they are obviously also directly related to your own life. You wish for your life to be lived more in alignment with spirit. The question is, what effort do you make in order to bring that about and to make it a reality? So that's all I have for you today of in-depth astrology. And I'd like to remind you to check out the Stormy Grace Kickstarter project. I'll post a link below. And to invite you to join me at the Empowered Astrology Conference organized by Kathy Rose. Thank you to all of you who subscribe, who like, who post your comments. I love to hear from you, and I look forward to seeing you next time.